Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another week of In Rhythm's Lightning Talks. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jen Crawford, and I have the pleasure of co-hosting this space every week. Lightning Talks, they happen 5:15 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. It's an opportunity for our practice area consultants to teach back to the In Rhythm community, as well as the tech community at large, both on LinkedIn and on YouTube. This week, I have the pleasure of co-hosting with Bekzat. He will be discussing Devops Roadmap. Super excited. And with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to you, Bekzat.
Thank you so much. Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Bekzat. I'm a DevOps engineer at In Rhythm. This is my second month of work and first presentation. So in short time, I'll try to explain all the details in DevOps world, and as well as how to become a DevOps, what tools we have to learn to be a DevOps engineer. So I hope that everyone will like my presentation, and let's get started. Give me 1 second. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Yeah. How about now? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so now you're gone.
1 second. Sorry about that. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So welcome to everyone to In Rhythm presentation. My presentation will start in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, this is the lightning talk. That happens every Thursday. My title of presentation is Devops Roadmap, and as you know, meets me Bekzat Maxutov. So before I start my presentation, I would like to just briefly share my experience, how I came to DevOps role. As many of you know, that I have a master's degree at political science and government. I worked for government for several years, and I didn't have the chance to working as a freedom, like not a lot of opportunity in my country. And I totally switched my world to be a DevOps engineer by learning some tutorials in YouTube or Cloud Guru and many other platforms. So in my topic, I would like to share DevOps Roadmap. So what is DevOps concept and tools to learn, and tasks and responsibilities. So first of all, history of DevOps. DevOps was born from the collaboration of developers and operations. So as many as you know, that DevOps is totally new in the market. It just was born in 2008 by Andrew Clay and Patrick DeBois in 2008. They were concerned about it, like a Dropbox of Agile, and wanted some come up with something better idea to have to solve the problem with wall between operation system and developers. So the idea slowly began to spread, and after the DevOps days in Belgium, it became more buzzword. And many companies, they are starting to use DevOps terms as a solution across the world. So the problem in a nutshell, what kind of we have a problem to facing with. So everything needs to software. I'm talking about the development side. Software runs on a server to become a service, delivering as a service from inception to its users to slow and error prone. There are internal friction points that makes this case. So this loses your money from client side. A lot of concept to cache, and it has also symptoms like long delays while dev and QA or another team waits on resource and response from other teams. It may take like a few weeks maybe 2 months to get the response or feedback from each other. Inability to diagnose production issues quickly, just it's always because of the, before that DevOps, the many companies before the Agile, they were using the waterfall methodologies. As many as you know that the, Agile is came in 2001 as a methodology, and the one of DevOps is the one of the part of Agile methodology. Problems appear in some environments only. Blame shifting, finger pointing, defects release into production causing outage. Manual error, it's commonly cited to root cause. Release sleep fail often. Quality of life issues in IT. So, and why does this problem exist? It's mostly the business IT and alignment. The business has demanded like wrong things of IT, cost, of course, a risk averse, and the centralized and monolithic, slowly and penny-wise, like foolish. So, but then we demanded innovation as a DevOps, but worked fine in dev, but somehow problem always. And so many knows that doesn't know how to fix this problem, how to solve it. And there is always, I would say, war between developers and operation system members. So, for example, 6 days after a successful deployment, the server experiences high load. There is an issue with build server. Code is not building. Software is deployed to the test environment, but you can't log into the application. And there's always like a boxing between dev and ops. So when they said that, hey, it works on my machine, but it's not the server, it's your code, you know, and it's always happened like cat versus the dogs. And sometimes some of them can call to directly to.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, they do have a problem. I wish they didn't have a problem, but there is a problem. So and DevOps came between two main departments, from development and operation. So from development side, you have to know that developing of application, testing of application. From operation side, you have to know deployment of application and maintain it on server. So here we go, we have a DevOps as an engineer. So DevOps is a methodology. So it's a set of principles and practices in the below, so you can see that it will help both the developers and operators reach their goals while maximizing their value delivery, as well as the quality of this delivery. This is one of the most important things. And the problem comes from the fact that developers and operators, while both required by corporations with the large IT departments, have very different objectives. So for example, we have Marcus as a developer. He's coding the code. Product culture is software development. Local objectives is deliver new functionality of quality, ideally of quality, yes. And Marcus wants to maximize the change. And we have another IT guy who's worked for operator system as a Peter. So he archiving, supervision, and supporting on a maintenance server. His objective is guarantee that the run of applications, no matter what kind of applications, make it stability. So Peter wants to optimize stability, but here's the problem. We have a wall of confusion. To solve this, to break this wall, we need a DevOps. So what is DevOps exactly? DevOps is a set of practices that combines software development and IT operations. It aims to shorten the system development lifecycle and provide continuous delivery with high software quality. So here we go. We have, as you can see in the picture, we have a dev and ops, and the most important skills or requirements to be a DevOps engineer. So it's first application performance, analytics, quality code, code level errors, application availability, application performance, compliance, and performance analytics. So why DevOps is needed? Let's say you have an idea that needs to be run in the business side. So the DevOps guy, you can save your time by reducing time to market, by faster innovation, by increasing efficiency in development side, high reliability, and for sure customer satisfaction. So to be a DevOps engineer, as I said before, mentioned, you need to know at least basic concept of development, like working with repositories, software engineering stuff. You have to understand how developers work, which Git workflow we need to know, how application is configured, about automating testing. And then you have another side, which is operation. So you need to know at least operation system basics like Linux, Shell, or other. You have to know you have to be skilled as a comfortable using the CLI, like shell commands, and for sure server management. So, and also the main thing is to be a DevOps engineer, you need to know basic concept of networking and security, because it's very important in our work. So you have to know firewall, proxy servers, load balancer, like ports, IP, DNS name, and so many other things. But I just want to mention here that there is a own professionals that specialize in a specific area, like a networking engineer or sysadmin. But as a DevOps engineer, you need to know how to work with them, try to understand them, like from development side, operation, or networking side. So DevOps, to me, it's learning a lot every day. So the second thing I just want to mention is how DevOps is different from traditional IT. So we have traditional IT culture and we have DevOps culture. As you can see, in development and operations side in traditional IT culture, there is a bottleneck when you want to deliver your product. But in dev environment, QA, UAT, production, there is a separate, and maybe you have to wait a lot of time to get a simple feedback. And DevOps culture is more focusing on delivering side. So you will get a continuously feedback, continuously delivery, and continuously improving your product. So how is DevOps different from Agile? As I mentioned, actually the DevOps is one of the part of the Agile, but DevOps is more methodology, how to solve a technical problem in development operation side. So it's a technical practice to achieve the end solution. Is a deployment is a small part of operation. DevOps helps to bridge the line between functional teams. They do have the best practices, and I call this one is counts. So it's a cultural side, embrace change, focus on people, automating testing. In automation side is infrastructure as a code, continuously delivery, continuously testing, lean, focus on products, producing value for the end user, small batch sizes, managing environments, measure everything, show the improvement, audit, and the sharing is collaboration, communicating, open information sharing, and sharing responsibility. As I mentioned before, DevOps means to me that you have to learn every day. You have to be able to share your knowledge with your coworkers, because as we know that everyone is in a different level of. But you don't have to know all the tools in each category, but it's good to know one tool in each category. So for example, dev concepts, how it works in CI/CD, it could be Jenkins or Azure DevOps tool. One of the containers working with Docker Swarm, operation system like a Linux, cloud providers, AWS, Azure, or GCP. I truly believe that if you know the basic, you will be fine to learn other stuff. Container orchestration is a Kubernetes, networking basics like a firewall, scripting language. You have to be enough to, you have to be dangerous to, you have to be enough to dangerous in a scripting language like a Python, Go, or Bash, or Ruby, and yeah, anything else. Monitoring tools like Grafana, Prometheus, there are so many open source tools that you can just implement your system. Version control, Git, and infrastructure as a code. I just want to say, me personally, I will go with Terraform since it's cloud agnostic and can work with Azure or AWS, but there are also CloudFormation and Ansible. That's also good to know. Here's the tool of DevOps. So it could be works on different stage of, for example, code and a Jira, Git, or Confluence, or testing of this year code, JUnit, Selenium. Release, it's like continuously improvement, CI/CD, Jenkins, Azure DevOps, monitoring tools like a Datadog, operation orchestrate to your manage your containers or your pipelines, Kubernetes, Ansible, Shift. Here's the DevOps principle what we have. So it's, as I mentioned, try to automate everything that you can, cross-functional autonomous terms, create with end in mind, customer-centric action, end-to-end responsibility, and continuously improvement. You guys can see the continuous improvement on YouTube by watching Lightning Talk by Parag Katkar. He was able to work with, he showed how to work with Git, continuous improvement, and Jenkins. So you guys can see if you want. So in DevOps, they do have a few responsibilities. So first it's project planning, as well as application and infrastructure development, application and infrastructure testing, automation implementation, deployment, monitoring and the maintenance, incident management. Most important thing is writing documentation. Everything needs to be documented. Security, it occurs also DevSecOps, and DevOps team management. So in DevOps, there is a few levels that requires more, like a DevOps architect, cloud architect, or just a DevOps engineer or DevSecOps. Depends on requirements. And so here's the DevOps lifecycle we can do. As I said before, debug, test, deploy, feedback, getting feedback soon, diagnose, audit, monitor everything that you can, analyze, edit, and build. And a build you can automate wherever you want through the infrastructure as a code. As you may know that many different right now trying to migrate to cloud technologies, and there is a few ways to innovate DevOps, implemented DevOps in your organization. I just want to just mention here that you have to first of all organize DevOps initiative. You have to build this DevOps strategy, containerize all your application using the Kubernetes, integrating the infrastructure, automating with CI/CD tools, maybe Jenkins or Azure DevOps and other, maybe increasing the amount of test automation and QA with deployment and development, and ensuring total application performance monitoring. Main part of in DevOps, you have to get the feedback. No matter what kind of feedback is, loops are basically an internal review how teams, systems, or user functions works. And one of the best reason to use DevOps feedback to loop is to bridge the gap between software and customer expectation. So this is organize it and optimize the change. So there are two types of feedback. The first one is reinforcing. It's a positive. So it's also called an accelerating for loop change. Like it happens when the first group sees as a positive feedback, and the second one as well as see the positive feedback for the first one. And then it maybe will be beneficial to each other, the team. And the second feedback, it's balancing. It's also called negative. This type of loop is this opposite for accelerating. Like, for example, the first group may see the positive increase resulting, but in a second group, it decreased the value, which is negatively decreased the value of the first group. So how do I get the real-time feedback on DevOps? First, it's integrate the real-time communication, focus messaging to cut through noise, don't totally abandon manual messages, and emphasize system monitoring. So, dear colleagues, co-workers, the human brain starts working the moment when you're born and never stops until you stand up to speak in public. So there are two types of speaker I can do without: those who never stop to think and those who never think to stop. I sincerely hope I have not been either. And thank you for your watching. And just before 1 hour ago, my wife mentioned that about the presentation, you're making this harder than it has to be. And
She said, come on, serious.
so yeah, that's what she said to me. And yeah, so I just want to mention also, this is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end. And but it is perhaps the end of the beginning. So if you have any questions, please let me know.